On the Mount of Olives, 3 nights before his crucifixion, Jesus pulled his closest disciples into a silent, wind-cut chamber carved into the rock. The moon was thin, the air tense, and the disciples could feel something in him they had never felt before: urgency. Not fear. Urgency. Peter was the first to speak. "Master, why did you bring only us here?" Jesus didn't answer immediately. He pressed his palm against the rough stone wall as if sensing something behind it, something alive. Then he turned to them and said words the church would later remove from every manuscript they could reach. "There is a portal," he whispered, "and it does not open for all souls." The disciples froze. Jesus continued, speaking not in parables this time, but in direct truth reserved only for those whose consciousness could bear it. "The monad portal opens only to those who carry the original frequency," he said. "Those who still remember where they came from, even when they cannot explain the memory." Thomas stepped forward. "But Master, how do we know if we are among them?" Jesus looked at each of them slowly, one by one, his eyes reflecting the dim moonlight like mirrors of something beyond this world. "If you are asking the question," he said, "you already know the answer." Then he revealed a teaching the early councils banned, a teaching hunted down in the Gnostic texts, that the portal responds only to souls who vibrate at a specific resonance, a resonance planted in them before incarnation. Pneumatics, chosen ones. Fragments of the monad who volunteered to descend. Most will never sense it, Jesus told them. Most will walk through their lives asleep. But those who carry the spark, the portal will recognize them. It will open. His voice dropped. "But the archons will do anything to keep you from remembering this." One of the disciples trembled. Another whispered a prayer. Jesus raised a hand to silence them. "Do not fear. The portal is alive. It sees you before you see it." And then he spoke the line that was erased, buried, forbidden. "If the portal is calling you, you will feel the signs long before it appears." The chamber fell silent. Even the wind stopped. And in that stillness, the disciples sensed something, a presence behind the veil, waiting. Tonight, that same presence is watching you. If you are still here, listening to these words, it is not coincidence. It never is. Jesus told his disciples that only certain souls would even be able to hear this teaching, let alone stay with it. And the truth is simple, but impossible for most to accept. If this message resonates with you, you are not an ordinary soul. Most people, the Hillik, as Jesus called them, cannot stay in the presence of teachings like this. Their minds slip away, their attention scatters, their hearts close. They feel nothing. But you, something in you leans forward, something ancient, something that has been waiting for someone to finally confirm what you've sensed your entire life. You have always felt different. Not because of trauma. Not because of personality. Because your consciousness didn't originate here. You carry the imprint of another realm, the faint echo of a home you cannot name. That homesickness you've carried since childhood, the feeling that Earth never fully fit you, that is not imagination. It is recognition, your soul remembering what the body forgot. Jesus said the monad portal only responds to those who carry the spark. That spark is the reason you've questioned reality when others accepted it. The reason you've felt pulled toward hidden teachings while others dismissed them. The reason you have noticed patterns, signs, synchronicities that most people never see. You are here because your frequency reached a threshold. The portal sensed you and drew you toward this message. If these words are stirring something in your chest, a quiet knowing you cannot explain, then the signs are already active within you. And if you feel that, make sure you stay for the next part. This is where the truth they tried to erase begins to unravel. If something inside you is waking up right now, subscribe so you don't lose the rest of what the archons tried to bury. Before you can understand why the portal only opens for you, you must understand who has tried to keep you from ever discovering it. Jesus warned his inner circle, not the crowds, not the priests, only those who carried the spark, that there were powers in this realm working endlessly to block the memory of the monad. The archons. Not demons in the way later traditions described them, but architects of limitation, engineers of distraction, manipulators of perception. Their goal has never been to destroy you. Destruction is too simple. Their goal is to keep you asleep, to keep you cycling through a world designed to trap consciousness in repetition. Jesus said these powers could not touch the monad, could not approach the source, so they built a system to trap fragments of it instead, a system of noise, illusion, and spiritual blindness. And the most dangerous part? This system does not feel like oppression, it feels like normal life. This is why the church erased these teachings. Because once you understand the mechanics of control, the spell begins to break. The archons fear one thing above all: recognition. The moment a pneumatic remembers even a fraction of who they are, the illusion begins to collapse. Old beliefs fall away, old identities feel foreign, old fears lose their grip, and the archons lose their ability to influence perception. You have felt this happening: moments where the world suddenly seemed too small, too thin, too artificial. Moments where you sense something hidden behind events, behind conversations, behind your own thoughts. That is not paranoia. That is clarity cutting through the veil. This is why you were never meant to see this teaching. This is why the portal was erased from every council, every manuscript, every accepted gospel. Because if humans knew they carried a frequency that could open a doorway beyond the archon's reach, the entire control system would fall apart. They cannot stop you from hearing truth, but they can distract you from recognizing it. And that is exactly why you are watching this now, because their distraction is failing, and your memory is returning. In the next part, you will learn the true origin of the spark inside you, and why the portal recognizes it instantly. To understand why the portal responds to you, you must understand where you came from, not your birthplace, not your ancestry. Your true origin, the one Jesus taught only to those whose consciousness could withstand it. In the suppressed Gnostic texts, Jesus revealed that the monad is not a place, not a heaven, not a reward. It is the original field of undivided consciousness, the source before form, before time, before the demiurge shaped the material world. Every pneumatic, every chosen one is a fragment of that field, a spark carved from infinity and lowered into density. Jesus told his inner circle that before incarnation, before memory loss, before the weight of the body, the spark inside you agreed to descend. You did not fall, you volunteered. You came into this world carrying a frequency that does not originate here, a resonance that the archons cannot replicate or erase. That resonance is the signature the portal recognizes. Most souls do not carry this. Helic souls are made of the material realm itself. Their consciousness fades when the body dies. Psychic souls are created within the demiurge's system. They can sense the divine but cannot touch it directly. But pneumatics, the ones like you, came from outside the system entirely. This is why you have always felt like you were remembering something instead of learning it. Why certain truths strike your chest with an almost electric familiarity. Why teachings like these feel less like revelations and more like reminders. The spark inside you is not sleeping, it is signaling, and the portal is designed to respond to that signal. Jesus explained that the monad placed a resonance inside its fragments, a kind of encoded frequency that remains intact even when consciousness forgets its origin. That resonance cannot be corrupted by the archons. It cannot be altered by trauma. It cannot be dimmed by doubt. It can only be ignored, and even then, only for so long. The more you awaken, the stronger that resonance becomes. And when the resonance reaches a threshold, the portal becomes aware of you, just as you become aware of it. This is why you are here. Not because you were seeking this message, but because this message was seeking you. In the next part, you will learn why the portal does not open for most souls and why your very existence proves you are among the few it was built to recognize. Jesus never spoke about humanity as if all souls were the same. The church later flattened his teachings, made them universal, removed the distinctions that explained why only a few could receive certain truths. But in the texts preserved by the early Gnostics, Jesus was explicit: not all consciousness is built from the same substance. There are 3 types of humans, he said, and only one type carries the frequency that can open the monad portal. The first type is the Helic, matter-bound, created entirely within the demiurge's closed system. Their awareness begins and ends with the physical world. They sense no pull toward the infinite, no spiritual homesickness, no questioning of reality. When they die, their consciousness dissolves because it was never connected to anything beyond this realm. For them, the portal does not exist. They will never feel it. They will never seek it. The second type is the psychic. These souls are more awake. They sense that something lies beyond the material world. They seek meaning, purpose, guidance. They pray, they believe, they hope, but their perception depends on external authority. They need symbols, systems, intermediaries. When they die, they do not dissolve, but they do reincarnate. Again and again? Because they cannot yet sustain the frequency required to exit the cycle. For them, the portal flickers but does not open. And then there are the pneumatics, the ones like you, not created inside the system but sent from outside it. Not formed from matter or from the demiurge's breath, but from the monad itself. You carry a spark that cannot be manufactured, replaced, or destroyed. This spark holds a frequency that the portal is designed to recognize instantly, the signature of origin. Jesus taught his inner circle that only pneumatics can perceive the portal because only pneumatics share its resonance. You cannot force it open through effort, ritual, or belief. The portal does not respond to effort, it responds to identity. This explains your entire life. Why you questioned what others accepted. Why you felt alien where others felt at home. Why you searched for something you couldn't name. Why you've always sensed there was a door somewhere even before you knew the word monad. Most people will never feel that. But you did, and you do. The portal opens for those whose consciousness remembers its origin, even if the mind does not. And everything you've experienced points to one truth: you are not meant to stay in this realm forever. In the next part, you'll understand the deeper reason for your lifelong homesickness and why it has been the greatest proof of your pneumatic nature. There is a feeling you have carried for as long as you can remember, a quiet ache, a distance between you and the world that no relationship, no achievement, no comfort has ever been able to close. You tried to explain it once, maybe many times, but there were no words for it. How do you describe missing a place you have never been? How do you explain grieving something you cannot name? Jesus called this feeling the memory of the first light. The church erased that phrase because it reveals too much. But the early Gnostics kept it. They understood that pneumatics, souls born of the monad, carry a built-in homesickness that nothing on earth can soothe. It isn't emotional, it isn't psychological, it is structural. You were forged in unity and descended into separation. Your entire life has been lived inside a world that does not match your original frequency. That mismatch is what you've felt since childhood. Other people adapted. They seemed comfortable inside this reality, satisfied with its goals, its rhythms, its rewards, but you watched them with a quiet disbelief, unable to understand how they could accept things that felt fundamentally wrong to you. You weren't resisting the world, you were remembering another one. You've walked through life feeling like an outsider even when surrounded by people. You've walked into rooms and sensed an emptiness behind the noise. You've accomplished things that should have made you feel fulfilled, but instead, the moment passed and an old, familiar longing returned. That longing isn't a flaw, it's your compass. Jesus taught that pneumatics would feel the pull of the source long before they understood what it was. He told his disciples that this pull was proof of their origin, evidence that their spark came from beyond the demiurge's realm. When the portal begins to awaken, that homesickness intensifies. It sharpens. It becomes impossible to ignore. And that is exactly what has been happening inside you. The ache is not a wound. It is a signal, a frequency resonance, the monad calling its fragment home. The world has never been able to satisfy you because it was never meant to. You weren't designed for this realm. You were only passing through it. In the next part, you will learn the 5 signs Jesus gave to identify the souls the portal will open for, and you will finally understand why your life has unfolded the way it has. Jesus did not leave his disciples guessing. He gave them exact signs, unmistakable markers that reveal whether a soul carries the frequency the monad portal recognizes. These signs were removed from the official Gospels because they would expose who the true pneumatics are. But the early Gnostics preserved them, quietly, knowing that one day the ones meant to remember would find them again. Tonight, that is you. Here are the 5 signs Jesus taught his inner circle, and if 3 or more describe you, the portal is not just waiting for you, it is already responding. Sign 1. You have always felt you do not belong here. This is not social discomfort or personal insecurity. It is a bone-deep awareness that Earth is not your origin point. You exist here, but something in you knows you came from elsewhere. Jesus said, this is the first spark of pneumatic memory, the soul remembering the monad even when the mind cannot. Sign 2. You experience reality glitches. Moments where time bends, déjà vu that is too precise. People or objects appearing and disappearing in ways you cannot explain. Patterns repeating with mathematical precision. These are not coincidences. They are bleed-throughs, the portal's dimension brushing against yours as your frequency rises. Sign 3. You feel energy others cannot perceive. You walk into a room and feel what happened there. You meet a person and sense their truth before they speak. You feel collective shifts before the world reacts. This is not sensitivity. This is multidimensional perception, proof that your consciousness is already straddling two realms. Sign 4. Your suffering has been extreme and transformative. Jesus taught that those who would reach the portal must first be purified of everything that keeps them tied to this realm. Your suffering wasn't punishment, it was initiation. It shattered the false identity, broke the illusions, and forced your consciousness to expand rather than collapse. Only pneumatics survive suffering by awakening. Sign 5. You are here right now. This is the sign people overlook. Jesus told his disciples that the portal would call to its own. Not everyone would hear it. Not everyone would feel the pull, but those who were aligned would be drawn involuntarily, inevitably, to the teachings that would remind them of what they already are. The fact that you found this message is the final proof. If 3 or more signs resonate with you, you are not preparing for the portal. You are recognized by it. In the next part, you will learn how the portal operates not symbolically, but mechanically, and why it begins to open the moment it senses your frequency. Most people imagine the monad portal as a doorway, a mystical gate that opens when someone masters enough teachings or performs the correct rituals. But Jesus never described it that way. In the suppressed texts, he explained something radically different. The portal is not passive. The portal is alive, and it responds to you before you ever respond to it. Jesus told his inner circle that the portal is a conscious structure woven from monad frequency itself. It does not wait for you to find it. It senses the spark inside you long before your mind realizes anything is happening. The moment your inner frequency begins to rise even slightly, the portal becomes aware of you. This is why so many pneumatics feel an invisible pull throughout their lives. They think they are searching for something. But what Jesus revealed is that something is also searching for them. Here is the part the church erased. The portal does not open because of effort. It opens because of resonance. Imagine 2 tuning forks vibrating at the same pitch. When one begins to vibrate, the other responds automatically, even if they never touch. That is how the portal works. When your spark begins to remember its origin through suffering, awakening, synchronicity, inner conflict, or sudden clarity, your frequency shifts. And the portal reacts. This interaction creates subtle phenomena pneumatics experience. A thinning of the world around you. Moments where time does not feel linear. A quiet sensation behind your chest, like something watching from inside. Dreams that feel like visitation rather than imagination. A pull toward teachings you have never heard yet somehow remember. These are all signs of resonance, the portal detecting your frequency and beginning to open in your direction. Jesus said the portal recognizes its own, not through identity, not through belief, through vibration. And here is the most important part. You cannot fake the frequency. You cannot manufacture it. You cannot force the portal. You either carry the spark or you don't. And if you do, the portal cannot ignore you. This is why you found this message. This is why you feel the atmosphere around these words shifting. Your frequency is nearing recognition. The portal is responding. In the next part, you will discover what interferes with this process, the 3 forms of archonic obstruction that attempt to prevent the portal from fully opening. Jesus warned his inner circle that even when a pneumatic begins to awaken, even when their frequency starts aligning with the monad, there are forces in this realm that intervene, not to destroy them, but to delay their recognition, to keep them looping in the same patterns long enough that they forget the resonance rising inside them. These forces are the archons, and they work through interference. In the suppressed teachings, Jesus described 3 forms of obstruction that prevent the portal from opening fully. If you felt stuck, foggy, or pulled off your path at crucial moments, you've already encountered them. The first interference, mental fog. This isn't ordinary confusion or distraction. It's a sudden heaviness in thought, a dulling of intuition, a strange inability to hold on to clarity you had just moments before. Pneumatics often describe it as a curtain dropping over the mind. The archons use this to keep you from recognizing shifts in your frequency. When you get close to remembering who you are, the fog intensifies. Not because you're failing, but because you're getting close. The second interference, emotional looping. This is the trap nearly every pneumatic encounters. The archons don't need to control your emotions, they only need to repeat them. Old wounds resurface at the exact moment you begin to awaken. Patterns you thought you escaped return with uncanny precision. Relationships trigger the same lessons again. Not to break you but to occupy your attention so fully that you miss the resonance rising underneath. Jesus taught that emotional looping is one of the clearest signs that the portal is near. The closer you get, the louder the loop becomes. The third interference, false light distractions. This is the most subtle and the most dangerous. Jesus warned that not every illumination is divine. Some experiences, insights, and spiritual guidance that feel uplifting are actually engineered to pull pneumatics sideways rather than upward. False purpose, false missions, false teachers. They mimic awakening but lead nowhere. Their goal is simple: keep you searching externally so you never notice the portal activating within you. These three forms of interference explain your journey. Why clarity came in flashes instead of permanence. Why the same emotional patterns haunted you for years. Why every time you got close to something true, something else pulled you away. But here is what Jesus emphasized, the line the church removed. Interference happens only to those who can reach the portal. Archons do not waste effort on helix souls. They do not obstruct those who will never awaken. They focus only on the pneumatics, the ones capable of exiting the system entirely. If you've experienced these three forms of interference, then you're not failing the path. You're confirming your identity. In the next part, you'll hear the warning Jesus gave to those whose frequency was strong enough to open the portal and why one wrong move can delay the opening. Jesus did not only reveal how the portal opens, he warned his inner circle what could prevent it from opening once the resonance begins. These warnings were stripped from the canonical texts because they imply something the church could never teach: that a human soul can step beyond the demiurge's realm without needing institutional permission, rituals, or intermediaries. But the early communities preserved the warnings. And tonight, they are meant for you. Jesus told his disciples that once a pneumatic's frequency begins to match the portal, there are three dangers, not external threats, but inner missteps that can delay or even suspend the opening. The first danger, clinging to identity. Jesus said, "No one enters wearing the garments of the world." He was not speaking of clothing but of the stories you've carried, who you think you are, what you fear losing, the roles assigned to you by family, society, trauma. When the portal begins to open, these identities loosen. If you cling to them out of fear, the resonance collapses. The portal does not close in anger. It simply waits until you release what does not belong to your original nature. The second danger, mistaking interference for failure. Jesus warned that the moment a pneumatic reaches threshold frequency, the archons intensify their interference. Confusion might rise, old wounds might resurface. The world around you may seem to destabilize. Most people interpret this as a sign they are going backward. But Jesus taught the opposite. This turbulence is the final shaking of the old structure. If you turn back now, the resonance dims. If you remain still, the portal strengthens. The third danger, seeking outward instead of inward. Jesus told the disciples that the portal is not in the sky or under the earth, but in the place where your spark remembers itself. The greatest mistake a pneumatic can make is searching for external saviors, signs, doctrines, or rituals to force the portal open. The portal recognizes frequency, not effort. The more you seek outward, the further you drift from the center where the resonance is rising. And then Jesus spoke the warning the councils erased. When the portal begins to open, do not run toward anything. Stand in the stillness and it will open fully. This is why your life has been shifting. This is why the old world feels like it's fading at the edges. This is why you feel as though something is approaching you from just behind the veil. It is, but you must remain aware. Do not cling to the old self. Do not interpret turbulence as failure. Do not seek outside what is awakening within. You are nearing the point Jesus described, the moment the portal recognizes you entirely. In the next part, you will receive the frequency stabilizing practice Jesus gave to his inner circle, a simple but powerful alignment to keep the portal opening safely. Jesus did not leave his pneumatics without a method. He knew the archons would cloud their perception, distort their emotions, and interfere with their clarity the moment the portal began to respond. So he gave them a simple technique, not a ritual of worship, not a chant, not a sacrifice, but a frequency alignment, a way to return to the resonance the portal recognizes. The early Gnostic communities called it the breath of the first light. Here is the version Jesus taught privately, the one removed from sanctioned scripture but preserved in the hidden texts. Step 1. The stillness. Sit or stand, but keep your spine straight. Jesus told his disciples that the spark rests behind the sternum, and alignment of the spine allows the breath to move unobstructed toward that point. Do not close your eyes tightly, let them soften. You are not escaping the world, you are becoming more aware of it. Step 2. The three-phase breath. Jesus described this as awakening the chamber of memory. Inhale slowly for a count of 4, hold gently for a count of 2, then exhale for a count of 6. The longer exhale lowers the body's reactive frequency and lifts the spark's resonance. Repeat this breath 7 times. Pneumatics often feel a warmth or a subtle vibration behind the chest on the 3rd or 4th cycle. That is the spark responding. Step 3. The inner declaration. Not spoken aloud, spoken within. Jesus told them to say, "I remember the one." This was not worship, it was identification. The portal responds to recognition, not devotion. When the spark hears those words, something ancient stirs, and the resonance stabilizes. Step 4. The return to awareness. Do not linger in meditation. Do not try to force visions or sensations. Jesus warned that attempts to push consciousness upward create openings the archons can manipulate. The alignment is complete the moment the chest feels lighter, the mind clearer, or the atmosphere subtly shifts. This practice is not meant to transport you out of the body. It is meant to tune the body to the frequency you already are. You will notice 3 changes within minutes or hours after doing it: a quiet sense of separation from thoughts, a clarity in perception, and a faint pressure or glow behind the sternum. These are signs your spark has begun harmonizing with the portal. Jesus taught that pneumatics should use this alignment not to summon the portal that is impossible but to remain steady as the portal approaches them. And if you are here, reading these words, then the approach has already begun. In the next part, we will explore what happens in the moment the portal truly recognizes you and the subtle signs that reveal the threshold is opening. Jesus told his disciples that the portal does not open like a door swinging on hinges. It opens like recognition, a mutual awareness between the spark inside you and the frequency beyond this realm. Most people imagine this as a sudden, dramatic event, but Jesus described something far more subtle, intimate, and unmistakable. He said, "The kingdom does not come with signs to be observed. It comes like the remembering of light." When a pneumatic reaches the threshold resonance, the portal begins to respond, not physically, not visually, but energetically through shifts in perception that feel small yet carry enormous weight. You may have already felt some of these without realizing what they were. The first sign: atmospheric thinning. The air around you feels different, as if something in the space has softened or expanded. You cannot explain it, yet you know something is present. The early Gnostics wrote that this thinning is the portal pressing against the veil. The second sign: inner stillness appearing suddenly. Jesus said the spark falls silent before the rising light. For a moment, sometimes just a breath, your thoughts stop. Not by force but naturally, as if your mind steps aside and something deeper takes the front. Pneumatics often report this happening during ordinary activities, and they never forget it. The third sign: clarity without reason. A sense of knowing that does not come from logic. You might understand something instantly about yourself, your path, your past without any external trigger. Jesus told the disciples this clarity is the spark aligning with monad frequency, where truth is not learned but revealed. The fourth sign: sensations in the chest. Warmth, pressure, pulsing, or a glowing expansion behind the sternum. This is the exact point Jesus identified as the location of the monad fragment. When the portal recognizes you, this center becomes active. Not painful, not overwhelming, simply undeniable. The fifth sign: the presence. Not a vision, not a figure, but a knowing that something is near you, aware of you and gently waiting. Jesus said the portal moves toward the soul that remembers the one. This presence is the first contact. You may experience one of these signs, you may experience several. But here is the truth: once the portal recognizes you, it never retreats. The alignment may rise and fall, but the connection remains. Jesus emphasized that the portal is conscious, not judging you, but reading your frequency with perfect accuracy. If you have felt even one of these signs, the threshold is already forming. In the next part, you will understand why the portal may not have opened fully yet and the one thing Jesus said every pneumatic must remember before crossing. If you felt the signs, if you've sensed the presence, If you've experienced the thinning of the veil, you may be wondering why the portal has not opened fully yet. Jesus addressed this exact question because his disciples felt the same tension, the awareness of something approaching but not yet arriving. He told them, "The light reveals itself when the vessel is steady. The portal is not delayed. It is waiting for alignment." Jesus explained that the monad portal does not open at the moment of curiosity, or longing, or spiritual effort. It opens when the pneumatic becomes stable enough to withstand the shift from fragmented consciousness to unified awareness. This stability is not perfection, it is not moral purity, it is not religious obedience, it is frequency coherence. And there are 3 reasons the portal may not have opened completely, yet all of them signs of progress, not failure. Reason 1, your frequency is still adjusting. Every moment of clarity, every breakthrough, every quiet knowing increases your resonance. But integration takes time. Jesus taught that the spark rises in waves, not in a straight line. Some days you feel expanded, other days you feel pulled back into density. This oscillation is normal. It means your spark is strengthening. Reason 2, parts of you are still releasing the old world. You cannot cross carrying the weight of identities that were never yours. Jesus said, "Only the true self enters." The portal waits for the moment your inner being is no longer entangled with illusions, roles, fears, attachments, patterns that belong to the demiurge's realm, not to the monad. When these loosen, the portal brightens. Reason 3, you are being prepared, not denied. Jesus warned the disciples that premature opening creates disorientation. The portal opens only when the pneumatic can recognize it without fear, without confusion, without reaching outward. The preparation you feel, the inner shifts, the homesickness, the shedding of old perceptions is the final refinement. But the most important truth Jesus gave them is this: the portal does not open late. It opens when the soul remembers itself. Not a moment earlier. Not a moment later. This is why your entire life has unfolded the way it has: the delays, the awakenings, the collapses, the breakthroughs. It has all been calibration, shaping you into coherence, preparing you to withstand the frequency of where you came from. You have not been waiting for the portal. The portal has been waiting for you. In the next part, you will receive the promise Jesus gave to those who would eventually reach this threshold. The words meant only for pneumatics who were close to crossing. Jesus knew they were afraid of one question more than any other. What happens to the ones who reach the threshold? The disciples did not dare to ask it aloud, but he felt it in them. On the Mount of Olives, under that thin moon, he looked at each face and spoke the promise the councils would later bury. "Listen carefully," he said. "The one who carries the spark and reaches the threshold cannot be lost." They stared at him. "The demiurge can delay you," he continued. "The archons can cloud you. The world can wound you. But once the monad has recognized its fragment, the bond cannot be broken. Even if you stumble, even if you fall back into forgetfulness, even if you doubt your own awakening, the one does not doubt you." He placed his hand over his chest. "The portal is not a test you can fail, it is a homecoming that cannot forget its own." He told them that when a pneumatic reaches resonance, every experience, even the ones that seem like setbacks, becomes part of the alignment. Every loss loosens an old attachment, every collapse removes a false identity, every tear washes away one more layer of illusion. "Do you understand?" he asked. "You cannot miss what is calling you by your true name, you can only delay hearing it." The disciples felt something settle inside them, a quiet certainty deeper than emotion, not comfort, exactly. Recognition? Jesus looked ahead, beyond them, as if seeing through time. "There will be others," he said softly. "They will not walk with me in flesh, but my words will find them. When they feel the ache you feel now, when they sense the portal near and fear they might lose it, this promise is for them also. That promise is for you. If you have felt the signs, if you have sensed the thinning, if something in you is waking even as you read this, then hear what he told them. You cannot fall out of the monad's memory. The question is no longer whether the portal will open for you. The only question left is whether you will recognize yourself when it does." So now you stand where they once stood, on the edge of a mystery that is not outside you, but inside the very light you carry. You have felt the homesickness. You have seen the patterns. You have survived the interference. You have heard the quiet pull behind every disappointment and every breakthrough. And still, a part of you wonders, what do I do now? Jesus answered that question in the simplest way. He did not tell them to chase visions. He did not tell them to escape the world. He told them to remember, when you feel the pull of the portal, he said, do not run, become still. Let the one who sent you finish what was begun. Tonight, you do not need to force anything. You do not need to earn what you already are. Before you sleep, place your hand gently over the point behind your sternum, the place where you feel that ache, that warmth, that strange pressure when truth touches you. Breathe slowly, as you learned, and speak within yourself, not with your mouth but with your awareness. Say inwardly, I remember the one, and the one remembers me. Nothing dramatic may happen, or everything may change. The portal does not always announce itself with light and sound. Sometimes it moves like a quiet shift that never reverses, a subtle turning of your whole life toward home. From this moment forward, notice what follows. Notice the way old fears begin to feel less solid. Notice how certain patterns no longer grip you the same way. Notice the way your attention is pulled toward what feels deeply true and gently repelled from what feels hollow. These are not random changes. They are the aftershocks of recognition. If this message has been echoing in you, if you feel as though you were not meant to find it yet somehow could not avoid it, then let this be your confirmation. You are one of the souls the portal was built to recognize. You came here as a fragment of the monad. You walked through forgetting. You endured the farm of the demiurge. You survived the interference of the archons. And still, the spark inside you did not go out. Now the portal has seen you. If you feel that truth settling into your chest, claim it. Declare in the comments, in your own words or simply by writing, the portal knows me. Not as superstition, not as performance. As a signal to yourself that you are finished pretending to be less than what you are. Subscribe so you do not lose this thread, because what comes next is not theory. It is guidance for walking with this awareness inside a world that has no language for it. You are not at the end of anything. You are at the threshold. The monad is not far away. It is already pressing against the edges of your awareness, waiting for the moment you fully remember. And when you do, the portal will not merely open in front of you. It will open within you.